Good morning, children. Today's chapter is Lost Spring, which is the second chapter of the book Flamingo. So, today we will go with Lost Spring. First of all, it is always very much important to know why the author has given it such a title, that is Lost Spring here. So, now let me explain here. Lost Spring. There are two clips. One is this one, which shows all the seasons, and here another clip which also shows, on one side it shows season, beautiful season, on another side it shows childhood. So, what is the correlation between these two pics that I would like to tell you? If you look at the very first picture, that is this one. Summer has been represented. I should start from here. Summer has been represented through youth, and spring through childhood. Autumn is the middle age, and winter, that is the old age. If I ask you which is the most beautiful season among all these four, the most of us will be giving the answer, that is spring. Spring season is the most beautiful season. It is liked by one and all. And spring and childhood, they are together. So now let me come towards the next pic, which is here, Lost Spring. This pic shows the beautiful season, that is the spring season, right? And this shows the children who are working, who are laboring. So, spring represents beauty, flowers, joy, growth. It is the most beautiful season of the year. So, the writer has compared spring with childhood, right? As childhood is the most beautiful age in one's life, in the same way, spring is the most beautiful season. But for these children are slum children. For these slum children, their spring is consumed in the web of poverty, dirt, and dust. At a very tender age, their shoulders are burdened with hard labor, so they lose their spring, that is their childhood. So, in the present chapter, the writer Anis Jung, she has tried to show the similarity between the spring season and the childhood, but that spring season, that childhood is lost into the under the web of poverty and child labor. So I hope this is clear to you. Now I should move ahead. Now let me tell you about the author Anis Jung. She is an Indian author, generalist, and columnist for newspapers not only in India but abroad. His most of the works, Unveiling India, was a chronicle of the lives of women in India. It was noted especially for the depiction of Muslim women behind the parda. She was born in Rourkela and belongs to an aristocratic family in Hyderabad. Her father, Nawab Hoshiar Jung, he was a renowned scholar and a poet, and he worked as a musahib, that is advisor to the last Nizam Prince of Hyderabad state. And her mother and brother are also well-known Urdu poets. So we see she has a very solid background of poets. She was well versed, and in the present chapter she has talked about the childhood which is lost under the web of child labor. So, Lost Spring, there's stories of stolen childhood. First, it is very much important for us to know what is the theme. So, the theme of the chapter is the grinding poverty and the traditions which condemn poor children to a life of exploitation. We often see that due to poverty and the tradition, the children are exploited. They are denied to school, they are not given any freedom, they are not free to move, they are forced to work. The two stories, actually this chapter, it has two stories. I'll be today talking about the first story. The two stories taken together depict the plight of street children forced into labor early in life and denied the opportunity of schooling. So, what I told you here, the writer tells us about the situation of these street children or the slum children. They are forced to work and they are given no opportunity to school. These children are not given the opportunity of schooling and are compelled to start working early in life. This is the very pathetic situation. They are forced to work. She propagates the education of children. She favors it and enforcement of strict laws against child labor. She has worked as a socialist and she is against child labor. Mind it, children, she is against child labor. The message is to put an end to child exploitation and let all children enjoy their days of the spring and joy. Children, we know that the government has banned child labor. It is well known to everyone that under RTE, Right to Education, children up to the age of 14 are supposed to get compulsorily free education. But they are not, the rules are hardly followed in the country. So I am going to deal with the first part, that is sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. From the title itself, it becomes very much clear that we are going to talk about the garbage. We are going to talk about the rags. Of course, the first part is related to rag picking. Mind it, children. We are going to deal two different stories in the single chapter, that is Lost Spring. The first is about rag picking. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. So, the first part talks about the writer's impression for the life of the unfortunate rag pickers. What I told you, rag pickers, one who picks up rags. From the picture, you can see the picture of a rag picker. The rag pickers migrate from Dhaka and find a settlement in Simapuri. The author is talking about Simapuri, which is situated at the outskirts of Delhi. And here, who lives here in Simapuri? The rag pickers live here and they have come from Dhaka. Due to a storm in Dhaka, they left their houses and they came to Simapuri and settled here. The rag pickers of Simapuri are the illegal occupants of public land, right? They are illegally settled over there. They have been living here for more than 30 years. Without an identity, nobody knows them, or without a permit. They have not got any permission by the government to live over there, but they are living there for more than 30 years. And one thing, they have ration cards to buy grains. This is the one of the facilities which is given by the government, that they have ration cards because of that they are able to get grains on low price and cast their votes. And of course, one important thing, that due to having a ration card, they are able to cast their vote, they are able to vote. They live in mud. Now here I am going to talk about the filthy environment and the conditions where they are living. They live in mud structures. Their houses are made of mud without sewage. No sewage system is there. No drainage is there. And running water. All these things are lacking over there. There is no water facility. There is no drainage. There is no sewage. They are living in such miserable condition. At the end of the day, they go to their beds without an aching stomach. Only one thing is there, they are satisfied that when day comes to an end, they go to their bed without an aching stomach, means their stomachs are filled. At least here they are able to get bread. Author's encounter with Sahibe Alam. Now again, I am going to tell you about author's encounter. How did author come to meet with the main character, that is Sahibe Alam? So now let me start. I would be better telling you about Sahibe Alam in the next slide. First, I would like to tell you about how did the author meet with Sahib Alam. The author used to stand in her balcony, and from there she used to see all the rag pickers in the morning. They means no. Generally, we see in the morning the children, the rag pickers, they are barefoot and they have the plastic bags on their shoulder. They keep on searching for rags and garbage. So she used to see all those rag pickers. So in the morning, when these rag pickers search for garbage to find a rupee or 10 rupee note, and most of the time they scrounge garbage, they just try to find out something in the garbage because there's a hope of getting some coin, some money also. The author asks Sahibe Alam about going to school. Is she willing to go to school? He says there's no school in the area where he lives. It shows that he had some desire to he had some desire of going to school, but he was upset that because there was no school in his area. Now the author offers him to study in a school. He is very much happy. When the author offers him to study in a school, Sahibi Alam becomes very much happy, and he says, okay, if you make she asks Sahib Alam, if I make a school, will you come? He is very much happy. He says, of course I'll come. And after 2 or 3 days he comes and asks the author, is your school ready? Now at this time the author Anir Jangshi felt very much embarrassed. She was embarrassed for making such a promise because she knew it very well that promises like that can hardly be fulfilled. Now I am coming toward the main character, that is Sahibe Alam, who is a rag picker. Sahibe Alam, he was a rag picker, as I told you, who lived in Simapuri. Where is Simapuri? Simapuri is at the outskirts of Delhi, at the periphery of Delhi. The meaning of his name is Lord of Universe, right? Children, see, the meaning is Lord of Universe, the owner of the universe. And what he is simply a rag picker. We find a big contrast over here. His family has migrated from Dhaka, Bangladesh to India in 1971 with the hope of finding better life conditions. Right? The whole family, and as I told you in the beginning, 30,000 backpackers were living in Simapuri. They had come in the hope of getting some job or getting some better conditions. Every morning he roamed about streets collecting garbage. As we see in the morning, the boys or the girls, the rag pickers start collecting rags. Many other boys also accompanied them. Now, his family lived in miserable condition, I told you. He could not afford to go to school. He didn't have a pair of slippers to wear. Such a miserable and pathetic condition. He wished to play lawn tennis. Okay, the lawn tennis, which is a game of rich people. He had a desire. He had a desire to play lawn tennis, which is a game of rich people. But he was not able to play that game. At the end, we will come to know that he found a job at the tea stall where he ran various errands for the tea stall owner. He had to work for the tea stall owners, though he earned rupees 800 monthly along with meals every day. Yet he was not happy working there. Mind it, children, I'll be telling you in the next slide about it, but here we should know that though he was earning a good amount, that was 800 rupees, is not a less amount for the means in comparison to that rag picking and free meals, but he was not happy. The reason will come to know. His rag picking bag was lighter than the canister, means he was burdened. He was his own master. When he was a rag picker, he was his own master. He could wake up whenever he wanted. He could sleep whenever he wanted. He could, move wherever and whenever he wanted. But now he had to work under someone. There was someone to control him. He had to move as per the order of the owner of the tea stall. Simapuri. Simapuri, let me tell you, children, Simapuri in Delhi is home to 10,000 rag pickers, mostly Bangladeshi refugees. He came here in 1971. These people live in mud structures with roof made of tin and tarpaulin. The ration cards which allow them to buy grains and the garbage are their means of survival. Ration one means of survival is garbage, as I told you. Another is ration card. They believe that their transit homes are a better place than their native villages. Transit home, they are temporary homes. This Simapuri, this is not their permanent house, this is their temporary house, but it is better than their native villages, means than Bangladesh, their own village that was in Bangladesh, because that villages provide no food. They were dying there with hunger. That's why they came and settled here. They are happy here because there they don't have to sleep with aching stomach. Their bellies are full. Once in a while, the children manage to find coins and rupees notes. Find coins and rupee notes in the garbage heap. Sometimes they find 1 rupee or 10 rupee or coin. They become very much happy. It is just like gold to them. The author notices how such occasional findings help the children to cling on to hope. Means when they find 1 rupee, they means they have hopes, and they start scrounging the garbage, so that they may find one or other coin over there. Now, what is the value of garbage to them? So survival in Simapuri means rag picking. All the people who are living in Simapuri, their only means of survival is rag picking. Now it has found a proportion in fine arts. We can see that from tin to tray, means all the raw materials, all the rough materials, they are used in making. They are taking part in fine arts. An example I can tell you about the chapter that you read last year, that is about Nek Chand. Do you remember the chapter in class 11th? That was about nature, landscape of the soul. Here there was a description of Chandigarh's rock garden created by nature. So that garden, all the rough materials, garbage has been used over there. So it has taken a proportion in a fine arts. And for elders, it is a means of survival. It is their daily bread. And for children, it is something wrapped in wonder, surprising thing. It may have something. So both are the elder and children, the meaning is entirely different. Sahib's working. Where's does Sahib work? He worked in a tea stall, as I told you. There he gets rupees 800 in all his meals. He had a steel canister in his hand, right? He was unhappy with his job. It is very much surprising why he was unhappy. Because he had lost his freedom. The answer we get here, because he had lost his freedom, that's why he is unhappy. He wanted to go to school. His desire was to go to school to study. His desire was to play tennis, which is out of his reach. But unfortunately, he had either he was a rag picker or he was working in a tea stall. So, children, in that way, we have seen that the first part comes to an end. Here we have known about the rag picking, Simapuri, the lifestyle of rag pickers, Sahib's meaning of Sahib Alam, and about his character. These are the some of the main important points where questions can be asked in your examination. So I hope here the this first part is clear to you. In the next video I'll be telling you about the second part. Thank you so much.